sorry. Why don't we just do it now? Right here, inside. And give me the correct spelling of your first and last name and your title as it relates to this. Tell me about what this event here is today and why is this so close to your heart that you just mentioned.
Okay. Básicamente soy del estado de Guerrero, donde mataron a los normalistas, que son los 43 estudiantes en el estado de Guerrero. Y esto es muy personal porque yo soy de Acapulco, Guerrero. Y otra cosa también, de que el gobierno, por primera vez, sabemos que los normalistas, no cabe ninguna duda que el gobierno los mató y por eso le estamos poniendo mucha presión al Estado y también básicamente a las embajadas y a los consulados, porque ellos representan el país de México, básicamente, el consulado mexicano. Y por eso estoy aquí para apoyar aquí a nuestros hermanos de San Diego con la frontera de Tijuana.
Awesome. I don't know what you said, but did you cover everything? Is there anything else you need to say?
Pues básicamente estoy esperando que haya justicia porque estos normalistas querían básicamente ser maestros igualmente como los que ellos tuvieron sus role models como maestros y ellos querían ser maestros también y eso es muy personal para mí. Gracias.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. All right, brother.
Okay, estamos aquí en San Diego, enfrente del consulado mexicano y yo soy Manny Aguilar de Occupy Los Ángeles, pero la razón que estoy aquí básicamente es para apoyar a nuestros hermanos de San Diego que están haciendo las protestas para recordarnos de los normalistas, pero también es algo muy personal como activista, pero también como persona que soy del estado de Guerrero, de la ciudad de Acapulco y todo esto. Y la razón que estamos muy apasionados sobre lo que le pasó a los 43 es básicamente porque necesitamos justicia. No cabe ninguna duda en nuestra cabeza o en nuestro corazón que los normalistas, que son los 43, fueron matados por el Estado, el gobierno. No cabe ninguna duda que el gobierno tuvo la culpa y por eso estamos aquí enfrente porque ellos representan al gobierno mexicano y de aquí nos vamos a los estudios NBC y es por eso que estamos aquí porque es algo muy personal y no quiero que a nadie se le olvide los 43 que son los normalistas del estado de Guerrero. Gracias. Okay, my name is Manny Aguilar. I'm from Occupy Los Angeles, but we're here in San Diego to support our brothers and sisters here that are protesting against what the government did to these students, which we call in Spanish, los normalistas. They were killed by the government, there's no doubt, that's why this exploded. There's no doubt this time that the government actually killed these students for wanting basically a better democracy. They wanted to become teachers and they were thinking outside the box, and that is not permitted in our government. So that's why we're here in San Diego in front of the Mexican Council to put pressure on them because they represent the government and we're going to the NBC studios and stuff like that. And so we don't want nobody to ever forget the 43. We should be hearing about it more and stuff like that. And we're going to NBC for this reason alone. And I'm not biased about NBC because the bottom line is they're covering the Chargers if they're going or coming or going and coming. And we need more coverage on what's going on outside and past this fence. I don't think this is fair, that we are not being covered the way we need to be covered. It's very important to be covered this way, And so I hope that people in San Diego, people in LA, people everywhere in the United States will never forget that what happens in Mexico also affects us here and stuff like that. Because when it comes to justice, there's no such thing as borders, And so that's what I want to say to everybody. Thank you. Basically, this is a young man that was one of the 43. They call him El Frijolito. And a lot of these young kids, like I said, wanted to become teachers. They had teachers as their role models, even if they didn't want to become teachers, they had, and they wanted to do that. The same thing for this student behind me, back here.
I don't have one.
He was also one of the 43. And he wanted basically justice. He wanted the same justice and he wanted the same democracy, and he was thinking outside the box just like everybody else. Thank you.
Start it off for me? You should start it off.
Okay, basically we're being here at the Mexican Consulate because the Consulate represents the Mexican government, and we're marching the NBC News because we feel like they haven't covered the 43 students, basically.
Yeah, they've done nothing to cover it like they should. It was a quick flash in the news and it was gone. But the fact of the matter is that this is something that's been going on in Mexico for 10 years, and what happened 5 months ago on Thursday, the forced disappearance of these 43 students was a huge, grotesque, large-scale violation of human rights. And the fact is, it's not gone away. It's not over. There's been, hundreds, if not thousands, of people detained and injured and beaten since then. People killed for supporting these students, like Gustavo Salgado, who we had mentioned in the flyer. And we're here today to stand together to remind the news that this hasn't gotten away. Every day it gets harder for them. The struggle is far from over. It's only beginning. We still don't know where our students are. We still want them alive. We haven't forgotten. We're not going to forget, and we're going to put it back on NBC and say, if you're not going to properly cover this on your own accord, we will make you cover it, because the people of San Diego need to be aware of what's going on. And I mean, look how much support already we have for these students, and yet it's not on the news. So.
And also, I want to make sure that NBC realizes that this young man had a mother, and this young man had a mother, and the other 41 had mothers. What do I say to the mothers? And we need NBC to tell the mothers of Mexico why they're not covering this. And the Mexican government needs to know that they need to do justice for these mothers.
22,000 missing people since 2012. And that's probably a round number too, because people are too afraid to come forward 9 out of 10 times. So that's a really, really, really shy number of what the reality of it probably is, and that's a lot of mothers looking for their children. And I'm a mother, and I can only imagine the pain and the fear that they're going through. And half the time I can't talk about it without tears. So we're here to show these students and their mothers and their parents and their families, and that we're still fighting for them. Even if NBC doesn't show it, even if it's not covered like it should be, we're still here and we're still fighting for you. And you'll never be alone. Ayotzinapa, you're not alone. You'll never be alone.
Sí, eso es cierto. Se los llevaron vivos, vivos los queremos. Gracias.
¡Viva nos queremos!
¡Viva nos queremos!
¡Ayotzinapa vive!
La lucha sigue.
¡Ayotzinapa vive, vive!
La lucha sigue, sigue.
¡Ayotzinapa vive, vive, vive!
La lucha sigue, sigue, sigue.
¿Qué queremos?
Justicia.
¿Cuándo?
Hoy.
¡Muera! ¡Ayotzinapa vive!
La lucha sigue.
¡Ayotzinapa vive, vive!
La lucha sigue, sigue.
1,
2,
3,
4,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. ¡Justicia!
¡Justicia!
¿Qué traje chamarra hoy? Oh, porque creí que iba a llover.
De casualidad, no just being chance you have an
Sorry.
Say again?
Do you have like an extra microphone you can plug into the cell phone? I forget to bring.
My bad.
Martin's coming.
He said he was. I don't know if he
Yeah,
marked
he
it or not.
said he was coming. It's on flyers.
I'm gonna run over and talk to her again.
Oh, ya están soltando hasta unos ahí.
Sí, ya los
Sueltan a
están,
los
pues nomás para taparle el ojo al macho.
A ellos sí los sueltan.
A ellos sí los sueltan, pero
Encontraron a la tuta y no han encontrado a los 43. ¡Qué bárbaros!
qué bárbaro, qué gobierno tan corrupto
Quieren
hay.
encontrarlo, no los quieren encontrar porque ya saben qué pasó.
Ojalá que ellos se acuerden de sus hijos que vienen adelante, para ver que les hagan lo mismo, a ver qué les parece. Porque esos 43 estudiantes tienen que salir.
Yo vengo de Torreón y voy a todas las marchas.
Yo soy de Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua, y estoy con ustedes al 100%.
Sí, porque nuestro país nos ocupa. Nuestra
Sí,
gente nos ocupa.
sí, aquí estamos aquí en un país donde nos cobija y nos protege de toda esa mala corrupción que hay en nuestro país, desgraciadamente. Así es que adelante y no flaqueen por ningún
Ustedes
motivo.
luchan aquí y yo lucho allá en México.
Qué bueno.
Hasta luego, señor. Hasta luego.
Estoy contra la corrupción.
Claro.
Well, just a minute.
Raising awareness for the 43 students in Mexico and the ones missing.
This is Manny Aguilar down here in San Diego at the Mexican Consulate. This is Peter Brown. He's been a friend of mine for a long time. A good friend of mine too, Catherine, Ryan, and of course, he's been very involved in the Zapatista movement for a long time and stuff like that. The schools in Chiapas. And so this man is one of the busiest vanilla brothers I've ever met, but he's very passionate from his heart, and this is one of the things he's doing lately, stuff like that. And I'm glad that he's here because I don't get to see him a lot lately, stuff like that, So he's a good friend, like I said, a good friend of mine, Catherine Ryan, is very involved. It's always been involved with Peter Brown, and also, what's her name, Ann Moore, and stuff like that. I actually wrote a script on the Zapatista movement, stuff like that. So thank you, Peter. Appreciate you being here. Él habla poquito español también.
Already.
Mexico, basically working with schools, with women's co-ops, with ecological agricultural collectives, and with help to improve the educational level that exists within the Zapatista communities of Chiapas.
I think that in the connection with the United States, people don't know
Well, a lot of us
why we're here.
come from different countries, some
Yeah.
from the U.S., some from other countries, but I think we all kind of realize that a lot of the issues and problems of Chiapas are flowing out of the issues and problems of the United States. And so I feel some responsibility for taking part in remediating some of those issues.
Might you spend a moment just to go over some of those issues? I mean, I think the most dramatic impact we've seen lately are the child asylum seekers that came from Central America because of the harsh conditions there. Could you maybe give us a brief history from the 80s or 90s to now?
Well, the Zapatista movement was born on the first day of the North American Free Trade Agreement. And that free trade agreement established certain legal precedents on how the economic relationships would exist between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. And in particular, in the first 2 years of that agreement, almost 3 million Mexican farmers were forced off the land. Many went to big cities in Mexico, many others are in big cities in the U.S. because they could no longer farm the land in Mexico. So the North American Free Trade Agreement, which was the beginning really of the Zapatista movement publicly, when they rose up saying that their culture as Mayan people, couldn't survive the full implementation of NAFTA. So they recuperated land and created a land base that they could live on in Chiapas and have now raised 2 generations of kids on that land successfully in rebellion, trying to figure out a way to survive as producers, sustainable producers in today's world.
And the issue that caused them to lose their grain was basically the subsidies were taken away from the independent growers of maize. That were well.
I think it had more to do. It had more to do with the international forces of putting small peasant farmers of Mexico directly in competition with corporate farmers in the center of the U.S., deeply subsidized by the United States, so that the competition wasn't possible.
What about the varieties that the Zapatistas, the people in Chiapas are using of maize? Are they genetically modified yet? Are you fighting against that?
There's a great resistance to contamination by genetically modified corn in Chiapas. The Mayan people consider themselves to be people of corn. They eat corn 3 or 4 times a day. They sustain it. They farm it sustainably. And their idea of the dangers of GMOs are really, really different, I think, than here, because for them, it's a moral, a spiritual, as well as a practical issue of health and economics. So they're dedicated to keeping their varieties of corn as pure as possible and not being contaminated by genetically modified organisms.
Now, in regards to the situation with the Normalistas, and I believe they're supposed to be rural teachers, were they going, some of them going to be going out to rural areas like Chiapas to teach?
Well, Ayotzinapa is a very old and famous teacher training institute in the state of Guerrero. The teachers are indigenous and are working in rural areas, not in Chiapas, but within Guerrero. They are definitely the best and the brightest of their communities who make it to that school, and they are the ones who are prepared to improve and develop indigenous life in Guerrero. So it's a very, very important and historic institution which has been under attack by the authorities for many generations now. We're particularly disturbed with the disappearance of these 43 kids, because these 43 kids really are the hope of the future for their communities. And just 2 days ago, another teacher graduate from Ayotzinapa was actually killed during a demonstration in Acapulco, in Guerrero. So the repression continues against Ayotzinapa, and it is a very, very important educational institution that we feel as Chiapas needs to be defended and respected.
What were those the best and the brightest students? Is there any possibility they were targeted because they were black and they were a threat to sustainable agriculture and the beliefs of the Mexican government as it stands?
Absolutely, they are the people that can sustain and keep going indigenous life in a sustainable manner, in a way that makes sense in today's world. And that's certainly why they were targeted, why that school as an institution itself is under attack, and why these 43 kids and the 6 who were murdered on the first day publicly were taken out. It's just that in Mexico today, to be a peasant is to be a criminal. To be someone who wants to maintain indigenous traditions is someone that's a direct threat to the state and is subject to enormous violence and enormous repression.
Including, but not limited to death.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What about the information, the misinformation I keep hearing about coming out of the government of Mexico? About different stories about how they found the bodies, how they didn't find the bodies. Is it just confusion?
No, it's not confusion. It's just information. It's attempt to confuse. The pain that we all feel from the loss, the disappearance of these kids.
Is a student named Jorge Nava. He is 19 years old, and his nickname is Chabelo, and he's one of the students that we're looking for, and we're here honoring today. This is Jorge Nava's uncle. Jorge was a student at Escuela Normal, Ayotzinapa, and it's a teaching college. He was young and kind, from what I read, and very, very pure of heart, and could never hurt another human in any way. And this is his uncle here, who we're so honored to have. And if there's anything you want to add.
No, right. Well, the only thing I'm going to say in Spanish, right? All right, so, de verdad, Jorge Navas ha hecho una persona muy, ¿cómo te puedo decir? No tiene ni un vicio, muy honesta, de verdad, muy sentimental. Y su padre, que es mi hermano, y su mamá, Blanca Nava, que es mi cuñada, de verdad, hoy hablé con ella esta mañana, y están triste, pero están fuerte. Están tristes, pero están fuertes. Y es lo que a nosotros la familia nos hace estar también fuertes, porque somos el soporte de ellos y vemos que ellos no se caen. Y necesitamos personas así, que todos los padres que que tengan a estos hijos desaparecidos, también tengamos la fe en Dios y la confianza en Dios que Él puede hacer todo y que están vivos.
I'm going to add in English too, just for anybody that needs to hear that. We believe that they're alive. We know that they're alive. We have faith that they're alive. We've never forgotten. And to their parents who are so strong, even though it's hard, they're not giving up. And we're here to support them because we believe they're alive too. And we're here to support them. And we have the same faith that they're alive. And that's why we're here looking for them.
Drinking right on Cedar, right?
This is too big for the sidewalk.
Ayotzinapa vive!
La lucha sigue!
Ayotzinapa vive, vive!
La lucha sigue, sigue!
Ayotzinapa vive, vive, vive!
La lucha sigue, sigue, sigue!
¿Qué queremos?
Justicia.
¿Cuándo?
Ahora.
¿Qué queremos?
Justicia.
¿Cuándo?
Ahora.
¿Qué queremos?
Justicia.
¿Cuándo? Ahora. ¿Qué queremos? Justicia. ¿Cuándo? Ahora. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 5, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. ¡Justicia! ¡Justicia! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. Justice! ¡Vivos los queremos!
¡Vivos se los llevaron!
¡Vivos los queremos! ¡Ayotzinapa vive! ¡La lucha sigue! ¡La lucha sigue y sigue! ¡La lucha sigue, sigue! ¡Ayotzinapa vive, vive, vive!
¡La lucha sigue, sigue, sigue!
¡Vivos se los llevaron!
¡Vivos los queremos!
¡Vivos se los llevaron!
¡Vivos los queremos!
¡Vivos se los llevaron!
¡Vivos los queremos!
¿Qué queremos?
¡Justicia!
¿Cuándo?
¡Ahora!
¿Qué queremos?
¡Justicia!
¿Cuándo?
¡Ahora!
¿Qué queremos?
¡Justicia!
¿Cuándo? Ahora. ¿Qué queremos?
¡Justicia!
¿Cuándo?
Ahora.
¿Qué queremos?
¡Justicia!
¿Cuándo?
Ahora.
¿Qué queremos?
¡Justicia!
¿Cuándo?
Ahora.
¿Qué queremos? Justicia. ¿Cuándo?
Ahora.
¿Qué queremos? Justicia. ¿Cuándo?
Ahora.
¡Ayotzinapa vive! ¡La lucha sigue!
¡Ayotzinapa vive, vive!
¡La lucha sigue, sigue!
¡Ayotzinapa vive, vive, vive!
¡La lucha sigue, sigue, sigue!
¡Vivos se los llevaron!
¡Vivos los queremos!
¡Vivos se los llevaron!
¡Vivos los queremos!
¡Vivos se los llevaron!
¡Vivos los queremos! 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43.
¡Justice! ¡Justice!
¡Ayotzinapa vive! ¡La lucha sigue! ¡Ayotzinapa vive, vive! ¡La La lucha sigue, sigue. Ayotzinapa vive, vive, vive. La lucha sigue, sigue.
I'll email you right now. I'll send them right now. Okay, no worries.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. ¡Viva los quemados! ¡Viva los queremos! 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 ¡La placa! ¡La vida! ¡La misma porquería! ¡La placa! ¡La vida! ¡La misma porquería! ¡Justicia! ¡Justicia! ¡Viva los quemados! ¡Viva los queremos! ¡Viva los queremos! ¡Viva los quemados! ¡Viva los quemados! ¡Viva los queremos! ¡Ayotzinapa vive! Let's gather around, y'all, and put the banners straight up so they can see.
Kathy.
So they're able to see. I'm gonna take a quick walk around. We got friends here. Oh snap! Thank you.
Is the entrance here or is the entrance there?
Ayotzinapa vive! La lucha sigue! Ayotzinapa vive, vive! La lucha sigue, sigue! Ayotzinapa vive, vive, vive! La lucha sigue, sigue! Ayotzinapa vive! La lucha sigue! Ayotzinapa vive, vive! La lucha sigue, sigue! Ayotzinapa vive, vive, vive! La lucha sigue, sigue!
Today it was supposed to rain like that. A lot of people didn't show. It doesn't matter. This is still going on. Do you live in San Diego?
Yeah, I live here.
Okay, so you're in contact with them. You know
What do we want?
we're dealing with a few outsiders. You know, they think they know everything. They don't know.
Cover the news of the 43.
I'm 30 years trained operator, so we're going to bring more forces into this, but it's just we're going to get a chance to talk.
Sure.
Because I'm going to take you to San Jose and Sacramento and
You are the
Fresno.
president of Texas?
I'm a former president of a union, but I live here. But we have our
Solidarity of
contacts in
the
the
missing
area.
43.
We have a radio
The mothers
show
and
in
fathers that will never
Las
be the
Vegas, New
same.
Mexico that broadcasts to. Do you
In
have a card?
solidarity with
No,
the
we don't have
teachers
a
who were murdered.
Let her know how to get a hold of you.
Right.
They broadcast to
We
Colorado,
want the students
all
back.
of New Mexico, part of Texas, Arizona.
They took them
An hour
alive.
show
We
that'll
want
give you
them
your thoughts and
alive.
voice. You know, we don't. What we're doing is continuing the mission of the students.
Absolutely.
There's no debate. There's no discussion. Have you heard about the Senate resolution?
No, I don't.
The Senate. Now you know you've been here 24 años.
Yeah.
The Democrats and Republicans are fighting each other right over immigration.
Right on.
They all agreed
I think that's what's
on
happening
a
here.
resolution
Why we're
from
at
Laura,
NBC is because you
state
guys
senator
are covering the
Laura,
Chargers more than anything that's
Pasadena.
happening across the border or
condemning the
San
government
Diego
and
for
giving
no reason.
total support to
You
the
know,
students.
doing a whole segment on
In
the
other words,
Chargers
they're
that's been
cutting
coming and going.
Peña
That's not
loose.
a world crisis.
That's a
you
message.
know?
Right.
This
You guys
is the
need to
8th
wake
biggest
up,
economy
you know?
in the
It's
world.
just amazing. Especially
We don't
now
want
that
any.
you guys have Telemundo.
You get it? So
Give me a break,
we got to
you know?
discuss
You
this
need
with
to cover the story in English and you need to cover it in Spanish. You know, we will not stop until we can give these mothers a reason why they should stop. You know, wondering what happened to their son. We need to have somebody accountable. It's not like that, you know. Rotary Divine, you're not working this weekend. Oh my God, Saturday. You know, but I'm sure that somebody else can cover the story. You know, seriously. You know, So, we need to really get justice, NBC. Necesitamos justicia en su cadena de Telemundo también, you know?
Ayotzinapa
¡Vive!
¡Lucha sigue! Ayotzinapa vive, vive!
¡La lucha sigue, sigue!
Ayotzinapa vive, vive, vive!
¡La lucha sigue, sigue, sigue!
¿Qué queremos?
¡Justicia!
¿Cuándo?
¡Ahora! ¿Qué queremos?
¡Justicia!
¿Cuándo?
¡Ahora!
¿Qué queremos?
¡Justicia!
Hi, can you turn around a little bit? First, this is a wonderful turnout. Why? Because we're joining the world, has been happening for 5 months now, and solidarity so that no one forgets. We will never forget. And we've got the government on the run, believe it or not. Now, what's really happening also is that you notice from Canada, Idle No More. We now are aware of the thousands of Indigenous women who have disappeared in Canada. Idle No More is women-led. Google Idle No More, get in touch with them and you'll understand more. So we're educating ourselves. We're not building a party, we're building a movement. The police brutality, the intolerable abuse of government authority in Canada is apparent, yes?
Yes!
It's apparent in the United States, yes?
Yes!
There's equality among cop brutality. There is equality.
Yeah.
In Atlanta, Chicago, New York, Ferguson, San Diego, LA, every major city, our sisters and brothers who are black get a taste of cop equality. And what's happening in Mexico, we don't have to repeat. A movement is growing. It's led in the main, and men need to know this and get behind it by women.
The women. ¡Arriba las mujeres!
¡Viva! ¡Viva!
The majority of the world is taking some leadership role, well deserved, and we have to learn to follow. This doesn't mean they don't get our advice. Now pay attention to this part. Where were you 30 years ago? You might not have been born, but if you were, 30 years ago, the oil workers went on strike. That means the industrial lubricants for the world are being challenged by workers in Long Beach. That's the same kind of power that our families and our students challenged. Neta Peña wants to privatize the oil of Mexico. They're continuing to do that. The only reason there are escuelas normalistas is because the Cardenas administration in the 30s told British Petroleum, la tuya cabrons, and took over the oil that belongs to the Mexican people. This is what funded Normalista schools. Now we're here defending our oil, our continent, our needs, not their needs. Keep this up, no matter where you are. This building isn't that big. On the other side of that glass, they're worried, very worried, that we're getting together in Canada, the US, and Mexico to begin with. They're worried because they know we're not going to stop. Ayotzinapa reminded us that we forgot about Tlatelolco. That will never happen again. Be proud of yourselves today. Thank you.
básicamente la razón que nosotros estamos aquí. Oye, ¿todos entienden inglés o no? Okay. The reason we're here, basically too, is that a lot of young kids, Mexicanos, born in the United States, which unfortunately forget sometimes our history. In October of 1968, this happened, where they killed all these students and stuff like that. So now here we go, it's repeated itself again. What NBC needs to know that's going to happen in this year is, unfortunately to say, we're going to have a revolution in Mexico. There's no doubt. We're past 100 years. Every 100 years, it seems like Mexico has had a revolution. And anybody who knows the history, they know it. So we're overdue for a revolution. And there is no doubt about it that every Zapatista that I've seen when I've been to Chiapas, and I'm from the Estado de Guerrero, I'm from Acapulco, I am so proud that I see these women. It was just amazing how these women were armed. And they said, not only are we armed, they told the men to get back because they got in the front and stuff like that. So it kind of reminds me of the chant that I like to do for our sisters. Mujeres unidas jamás serán vencidas. Mujeres unidas jamás serán vencidas. And that's the true fact, So the goddesses are taking the lead, and you know what? We better just stay in the back because they're aggressive. They got weapons, and they're serious of what they're doing. It's very passionate. So thank you very much.
Okay, so we're back here again. It's been 5 months. And right now I'd like to direct my words to the public, right? Because I think all of us who are here know what's going on and are aware, right? But I think the people that we should be talking to are people walking on the streets and around us, right? So, I'll pay attention. But first of all, as always, thank you for everybody who shows up. It's the fact that people like you guys and us that show up, that this is still happening, that the movement's still moving strong. So just keep it up and not give up. And I know it's often very easy to just kind of like get down about it, because it doesn't seem like nothing is happening coming from this, but it is. All of us are still together and we're still raising awareness. And despite the fact that NBC and other big news stations aren't covering this, people are finding out about this. People know. If people didn't know, you probably wouldn't be here right now, right? Standing right here. So thank you to you guys all. Love you guys.
I had a question that's been asked all this time. They ask me all the time. I've been an activist now for 29 years from Los Angeles and stuff like that. One thing I got asked today was this. A very simple question was asked today. What can we do here in the United States? You know what you guys people can do in the United States for Mexico? Tell the government of the United States to stop funding Mexico for the wrong reasons. That's what you want to say. Thank you.
¡Viva las mujeres!
¡Que viva las mujeres! I think Elena should talk about that.
So that at the border, we have a couple of crammers there, black brothers and sisters. What? They ain't gonna touch this. Look, they're there. I can't, I can only, these are the times when we brought somebody from South Africa and they called them communists.
Right.
It didn't work.
Never.
It never worked.
Never.
And then, what, a year and a half later, we saw Mandela come into the Coliseum in Oakland, 90,000. We were offered front seats,
I can see it different.
Hell no, we put the seniors there, We sat up way back, but we knew what we did. That's the power we can get. We helped Martin Luther King Day, all the train operators, I'm retired train operators. We got the first train to go to San Francisco, call it the Harriet Tubman Special, fighting for Dr. King's holiday. And all of a sudden, it goes every year now.
Exactly.
We started that.
It started at time.
We started that in San Jose.
Wow, man.
And it's going forever, man. It's a trip. You get lucky You offer the transportation, it's free. They stopped at Stanford. They realized they had to get another train because 3,000 students wanted to board that one train. Well, it goes every year now. And that's exactly, can you imagine those kids, Mexicanos, whites, riding the train, fighting Dr. King, marching on Dr. King, man.
That's amazing, man. That's kind of really special feeling, man.
That idea came from a couple of workers.
You did a wonderful job, man. You did a wonderful job. Nobody can do it.
No one asked Catherine and Elena. They don't need permission. What do I need permission to fight for humans?
Right. You know, I love to do that. Every 2 weeks, I came to right here to 60th Street. I brought some food to my brother in the homeless. I brought some food like for 150 people, man. Every 2 weeks, every Saturday, do the Saturday. Man.
You ever met this brother?
What happened?
You ever met this brother?
No, but
I videotaped him, really. How you doing? My name is Nate.
Nice
He has a radio station.
Really?
He is the heart of the black community here.
Wow. Well, I had worked with you guys.
And we've all worked kind of together. We're building better. There's no conflict. You understand? No. We don't have a black problem or white problem. We got a unity
You know
problem.
what? Thank you so much.
I will talk to you.
Yeah,
Talk to you.
Repeal Prop 21. Stop criminalizing our black men. Which soon you'll be criminalizing brown men. And everyone.
Okay.
So what we want is to continue the push for accountability, for transparency, for these police departments who feel that they are above the law, who feel that they have the right to determine who can live peacefully and who is under threat. Every day we see in Logan, Canto, parts of Southeast City Heights, we constantly see people under the threat of just being curfew sweeps, these gang injunctions, peacefully protesting the murder of our family members, our loved ones, at the hands of police, being threatened,
para hacerle una entrevista después.
practicing
So
our
yo,
amendment rights.
I'd love to get
All
you
of
on
this
the
is
air.
connected. Police brutality is a transnational issue. There is state corruption all over the globe. It happens here. We need to keep the movement alive in San Diego. It is not over. Ferguson stood up. They set a precedence for us to say that this youth, his life mattered. Black lives matter. Indigenous lives matter. These people matter, and we must stress that because in our society, in this system of structural oppression, we are already told that their lives don't matter. So I invite everyone to be involved. Please either join an organization, work autonomously. You have the right to assemble. You have the right to freedom of speech. And let the media know, keep that. Go to city council meetings. Let your voice be heard. Shut down city council meetings. They are not in it for us. Practice your freedom of speech. Practice your freedom of speech at any opportunity you have. Whenever Bonnie Dumanis has a public press conference, whenever anyone representing the police department or any government,
Sí, todos
show
los días,
up,
todos los días.
show your
De
signs,
hecho, acabo la
let your
con mi
voice
hermano
be
esta mañana,
heard.
porque él tiene 3 celulares y todo,
street
pero siempre están
movement
meeting, siempre están juntas y
always
no me gusta
exists,
hablarle
and we
cuando
need
está,
to keep it
y como hoy estuvo
maintained.
en casa, fue en la mañana a desayunar a casa de mi mamá, y él hizo eso.
So there are events coming up in March.
Bueno, él tiene
March
18 años.
March 10th,
Y lo más que se parece a
an
mí.
individual was
Sí, y
unfairly
estaba
charged.
emocionado porque dice que
Again,
oye,
a black man in the
la
neighborhood
ONU,
decided to
las
pull
personas
over
que
in the
van a
well-lit area.
todo eso, llegan al buque allá.
Cops are charging him unjustly.
El
March
procurador
again at
del
7:30 a.m.
renunció ayer. Quiere decir que
Together support
el
and
gobernador
show
Aguirre también,
that this
él
is
tiene
not
muchas cosas que...
Todavía no renuncia ni
No, sí renunció, sí, al principio, pero él tiene muchas cosas que
March is also the Victor Ortega rally.
está con
I believe March
van a
15th
descubrir muchas cosas.
at 6 p.m. City Heights. We need to keep the momentum to help. Greatly appreciate the support. It's going to be seen by the mothers, the fathers of the 43 and those that are affected. And I really appreciate you coming out here today. Colorful group of people downtown. But, as I reiterate, thank you so much. Beautiful to see these signs. It's beautiful to see that people are, it's 5 months, doesn't matter. They will never be forgotten. They are still in our hearts, and we still demand the same. They took them alive. We want them alive. Put it on NBC. ¿Qué queremos?
Justicia.
¿Cuándo?
Ahora.
¿Qué queremos?
Justicia.
¿Cuándo?
Ahora.
Many journalists in Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras have been killed. You see NBC journalists defending their own kind. We know they live for their paycheck, but still, you can't claim that you're talking about the news and lie about it. Keeping silence is another way of lying. This is why we're demonstrating worldwide against this. And they know full well this is not going to go away. Right now, in Los Angeles, everywhere you can think of, people know how to spell the word Ayotzinapa. By the way, that means land of the turtles. And up north in Canada, their belief system, not to be equated with God, is that they belong to the land of the turtle. We have 15,000 years since we conquered the Ice Age. Every single tribe existing today in our Americas, there's 425 by the way, are fighting police brutality. They're at the forefront of the fight for Mother Earth. That's why this is important.
¿Cómo está su esposo? ¿Cómo está la familia de Jorge? Directamente, ¿cómo lo están manejando? Porque es muy complicado, tienes que seguir con la vida. You have to, keep on working.
Yeah.
And you still have to, pay your bills. And at the same time, you have all this thing going on. You have all these meetings and all this stuff. And you are so pretty much destroyed, virtually destroyed.
Right. Bueno, yo hablé con mi hermano Epifanio esa mañana y él está, lo escucho fuerte en su manera emocional, pero yo sé que él por dentro está caído, le duele todo el pasado, se desespera, pero lo he escuchado muy fuerte en la manera de que él tiene fe que lo va a encontrar, él tiene seguridad y que él está ahora más seguro que lo va a encontrar, porque las personas que vienen de diferentes países ya van a trabajar en eso, en una empresa otra vez, o sea, es algo que
the family goes all the way again, all through the grieving.
Exactly. Yeah, y empiezan otra vez, pues, sabes que ellos son y no son ellos, y otra vez a 4 o 5 meses, 3 meses, dicen otra vez, ya lo encontramos, ellos son y no son eso. Empiezan a remover todo para atrás. Y eso es lo que afecta a la familia, es lo que afecta a toda la familia, a los hermanos. De hecho, el hermano de Jorge, me doy cuenta que mi hermano lo trae donde anda él, porque él ha caído en depresión, él le da mucho por tomar, todo el tiempo quiere estar tomando, y esto me preocupa, no porque todo el enfoque es a Jorge, pero también hay otro que necesita el apoyo de la familia, hay otro que también necesita la atención del papá, la atención de la mamá, la atención de la familia. Entonces él todo el tiempo tomando, donde quiera se quedaba tirado, tomado, solo tiene 21 años el muchacho, y eso nos preocupa también, y eso afectó lo de Jorge, porque está está ahí, ¿me entiendes? Por todo lo que ha pasado.
Entonces podremos multiplicar a los 43 por lo menos 4 o 5 miembros de familia that their life have been devastated.
Exactamente. Yo creo que todos, honestamente, yo creo que todos. Y es demasiado porque, te digo, mis padres sufren. Mi padre ya son grandes, 70, 80 años tienen. Y cuando yo hablo con ellos, me parte el corazón. Pero mi papá, un hombre muy fuerte, un hombre de pueblo, un hombre que él nunca yo me llorar. Llora ahora por la impotencia. ¿Comerá mi hijo? ¿No comerá? ¿Qué estará pasando? ¿Qué vivirá? ¿O estará muerto? ¿Qué está pasando con él? Y entonces, a mí me parte el corazón, mira, mi padre, mi madre está súper terminada, acabada también, por lo mismo que ellos sufren. Este muchachito se crió con ellos. Jorge, mi mamá y mi papá lo criaron cuando estaba enfermo, porque mi hermano Tifanio estaba aquí en Santa Bárbara. Entonces ellos eran sus padres de Jorge cuando él estaba acá. Entonces, esa ha sido bien súper duro para toda la familia.
How about the family? Your family is still there in Ayotzinapa. Is there a generalized perception of insecurity? I mean, do they feel secure, or do they feel threatened by the authorities or other groups in the area? Do they feel the need to escape away from that area?
Especialmente mi hermano. Creo que mis padres no corren peligro, pero mi hermano, estoy seguro, hemos platicado sobre eso, que él a veces siente un temor que vaya el mismo gobierno, de que vayan a tomarlo, represalia con ellos, porque por todo lo que están haciendo, porque el gobierno quiere que eso se cierre y no quiere que sigan buscando más. Entonces, yo he platicado con él y me ha dicho, ¿sabes qué? La verdad a veces tengo miedo de que un día vayan a hacer algo contra nosotros, contra mis otros hijos que tengo, o contra mí y mi esposa. Y yo creo que todos los padres que están ahí tienen miedo también de todo esto, lo que puede pasar.
When I first heard what happened in September, I was devastated as a mother, as a person who knows where my family came from, and as a human being. I think at this point forward, it's so important for us to remember these students, to continue to show their faces, to continue to share their names and their stories. It's essential to keep this movement alive, for people to remember that 43 is not a number. 43 is 43 missing boys, 43 mothers looking for their children, 43 fathers looking for their sons, brothers, sisters, uncles, cousins, everybody who wants their children back. And let's not forget that while this is a large-scale, grotesque human rights violation,
we have to live this.
It's bigger than what we see. It's bigger than 43. It's 22,000 missing people at least in Mexico since 2012. It's 7,000 cases at least of torture in the hands of the police and the military, and seven of their torturers condemned. That's it. So it's at this point now our job across the globe in San Diego and in the world to say to their government too, we're watching you. We haven't forgotten. We see everything. It's our job to continue to publicly show our solidarity, to put support on the Mexican government. For us on this side to say, ya basta, we don't want to do this. There are brothers and sisters in la lucha. We now, with the police brutality we see here, having a tiny glimpse of what's been going on for decades parallel to ours. It's our job as students, mothers, brothers, sisters, to fight for those like us who are looking for their families. It can't be forgotten. Their names can't be forgotten. Their faces can't be forgotten. And I'm here now. I'll be here tomorrow, the next day, continuing to fight for our boys. I'm still going to be looking for these students. I appreciate you guys all being here. Let's not forget, this is not the end. 5 months, and it's worse now than it was in the beginning. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. On Tuesday in Acapulco, the teachers had a march and a demonstration to shut down the airport. 106 detained, countless beaten, left on the streets, absolute police terror to a degree that we can't understand here living in the States. And it's our job to show the rest of the people, Mexican or not, what is going on. Because it's up to the globe now to ask the government. The Mexican government isn't stopping. It's not enough. It needs all of us, all of the world to tell them to stop, to ask our government, to ask you, NBC, to give it proper coverage so that more people here know what's going on. They can try to silence Gustavo Salgado, who fought for the rights of these students, but he's not silenced. He lives on. For all those taken, killed, detained, we're fighting for these students. They tried to silence them. Well, we're not, and they're not going to silence us. They're not going to silence the parents of these students. They're not going to silence the normalistas. And we're here, and we will be here. Y la lucha sigue cada día until these students are brought back home.
Gracias.
Elena, presente. Who's going to talk about the Chicago case?
Oh yeah, you should talk about it. I don't
know too much about it.
May we have a moment of silence?
May we please have a moment of silence for the 6 students whose lives were taken that day and the numerous other millions of lives taken in Mexico, and a moment of silence, a prayer to please, just to honor those taken that day and remember those who are gone. Thank you. ¡Viva se los llevaron!
¡Viva los queremos!
¡Justicia!
Justicia!
I thought we were going to have a moment of silence.
It's a short moment of silence, I'm sorry. It seemed like...
I thought it was going to be a minute.
No, but ironically enough, I don't think it would have gone.
Porque vivos los queremos! We have faith you're there and we're still looking for you! Woo! Woo! Okay, I'm okay with walking.
You've read that resolution, haven't you? The State Senate Resolution number 7. It's an amazing resolution. You got to read it. It's 37 senators that unanimously condemn the government's associated themselves with Human Rights Watch, associated with others. It's a free ticket for the students and you've got to read this, and people don't even understand it. We know why. This is the 8th biggest economy in the world. They don't want trouble, That's enough going on. When is the last time you saw Democrats and Republicans in total agreement? Well, it's delightful. It's fantastic that we now have communications, but connected in a system that prioritizes for people what's going on. You can find out whether it's health, whether it's the Greens, whether you can hear a message from a radio station, so that you're connected, and then you can tell other people, wait a minute, this is ways to get this done. It's like fine-tuning the old days. I come from AM era. Then there was the FM era, now we got this era. You got to fine-tune this stuff.
Okay.
Well, we have to have and create our own media.
Absolutely.
Without a people's media, there's no people's information, and without people's information, there's no people's movement. And
absolutely,
that's why KNSJ was brought online, because information, then communication, then mobilization.
One of the great things about
liberation.
is there's no one center, no one leader. It's a generalized movement of information that's based on science, understanding, research, so that it's qualified and we have a better understanding of each other. It's not these circular arguments that always go nowhere. No, this is much deeper than that. It's interesting, we're in front of this NBC building. I didn't know until last week 144 journalists have been killed over the last 5 years in places like Colombia, Honduras, etc., etc. And here is supposed to be the home of the news. They don't even back their own journalists, So the thing is, we're winning. They know this isn't going away. If Ayotzinapa did one thing, and it's done a lot of things, but one thing is remind us, we forgot about Tlatelolco.
Yeah.
You know?
Youth and students in action.
I found out about Tlaqui Loco when I was in Vietnam. Of all places, I found out about it. When I got home, fortunately I got home, I asked my folks, were you at the Olympics in '68? Yeah. Didn't hear anything. We never heard a word about it.
Yeah.
But that's not true today, so.
Well, it's coming out. Thank you, Rick.
Okay.
Trujillo.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.